Shabbat shalom to you all, and thankfully Rabbi Leah has miraculously appeared. We have lots going on this morning, of which more later on. But for now, we come to putting on our talitot, and please do join us wherever you are. Last night was extra special in everybody messaging in and letting us know exactly where you're joining us from, sending in some wonderful messages to each other as well, some real words of comfort at times and of real celebration. So please do continue. It's wonderful to celebrate life with you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
And because I got distracted by Rabbi Leah flying in,
I'm sorry.
I forgot to tell you that we're basically following Service 5. So for those of you who prefer to use your Siddur, there we go. It's Service 5 pretty much. I don't know whether you're standing or sitting or how you're feeling this morning, but hopefully you'll join in with gusto with us as we sing. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu
following in the book, we're on page 129. Source of light, of truth, and of the impulse within us towards justice and mercy. May this hour of worship be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Let the words we speak enter our hearts and influence our lives. Bless all who enter sanctuaries in search of you, or in need of comfort and consolation. May the offering of their hearts be acceptable to you, and may the prayers we utter here bear fruit in acts of kindness, peace, and love.
And as we now come to passages of our sacred text, we recite together the blessing for study.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
With what shall I approach the Eternal One?
How shall I worship the God of heaven?
Shall I come before God with burnt offerings?
Or with yelling calves?
Will God be pleased with thousands of rams?
Or with 10,000 rivers of oil?
Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression?
The fruit of my body for the sins of my soul?
People tell you what is good, but what does the Eternal One require of you?
Only to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with your God.
Eternal God, may the words of Torah taste sweet to us and to all Israel, that we and our children and all the children of your people may come to know you by studying Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of your people Israel. And this morning we have welcomed back our Cheder, of which a little bit more later on. We can hear the children playing outside at this moment in time. Indeed, we can hear the voices of the parents. And Ruth was telling me that Northwood is replete with parents wandering around the various shopping shops and having coffee together. It really fills with the sun out as well, as if life is beginning here again. And so together we add our voices. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Hamehulal b'fi amo. Meshubach umfo'ar bilshon chasidav v'avadav. Bishvachot uvizmirot. Negadeh lecha v'namlichecha. Malkeinu yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai melech mehulal batishbachot. Sing for joy to the Eternal One, you who are righteous.
For the upright do well to give praise.
Give thanks to the Eternal One with the lyre.
Make music to God with the 10-stringed harp.
Sing to God a new song.
Play well with shouts of joy.
For God's world holds good.
God's every deed is done in faithfulness.
The Eternal One loves righteousness and justice.
The earth is full of God's kindness.
By the Eternal One's word, the heavens were made.
And all their hosts by the breath of God's mouth.
At the divine command, the ocean waves rise.
Or gather instead in the vaults of the deep.
Let all the earth revere the Eternal One.
Let all who dwell there stand in awe of God.
Who spoke, and it was.
Who commanded, and it stood firm. We just didn't quite get the spelling right of all the words. Maybe this time, if some of you are watching, if you just send me a quick email to say, can you look at service number 5 for the spelling of some words? Maybe I'll actually remember to correct it one day.
There's not so much different between words and worlds.
Yeah.
How shall I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them?
How shall I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who founded them?
How shall I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them?
How shall I sing of deserts and seas when it is God who begot them?
How shall I sing of earth and her fullness when it is God who bade them be?
I shall sing of the one who fashioned them all, the one who is above them all. Of God, God alone, I shall sing.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. B'kodesho. Hallelujah. B'kidehuzo. Hallelujah. B'gevurato. Hallelujah. Kerov godlo.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. B'teikasho.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. B'nei v'chino. Hallelujah. B'tov u'machol. Hallelujah. B'nihinim ve'ugav.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. B'tziltzilei shama.
Hallelujah.
B'tziltzilei teruah. Kol ha'neshama Tahalel, Tahalel, Hallelujah.
Please rise. And together, Yishtabach Shimcha la'ad Malkeinu, Ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol v'ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Ki lecha na'er Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu. Shir u'shvacha, Hallel v'zimra, brachot v'hodaot me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'shirei zimra. Baruch hu etz Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Havorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Praised be the one to whom our praise is due.
Praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever. Please be seated. And together we continue. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorech choshech, oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol, hameir la'aretz veladarim alecha barachamim, uvtuvo machadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chokhma asita, malah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, va'al ma'orei or she'asita, yifa'arucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'morot. And we continue. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching, make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you, and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Shem kavod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch Shem kavod malchuto leolam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavacha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha v'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'aderech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha, u'gshautam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'bish'arecha. Please be seated.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you are the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly, you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Mi hamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi קודש, נורא, תהילות, עושה, פלא, נורא, תהילות, עושה, פלא.
A new song the redeemed sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty.
Adonai, Yimlo, Leolam, Vaed. Adonai, Yimlo, Leolam, Vaed. So Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Go'aleinu Adonai, Sebaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Kol Yisrael, Kol Yisrael, Yisrael.
Please rise.
Adonai, Sevatitah, Ufi Hagid, Tehilateha. Adonai, Sevatitah, Ufi Hagid, Tehilateha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imachot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. את גיבורה לעולם שדי, מחיה מתים את רבה להושיע, משיבה הרוח ומורידה הגשם, משריחה השמש ומורידה הטל.
מקהלת חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומכת נופלים רופאת חולים ומתירה עצורים ומקיימת אמונתה לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעלת גבורות ומי דומה לך, גבורה ממיתה ומחיה ומצמיחה ישועה.
ונאמנה את להחיות מתים, ברוכה את שדי, מחיה המתים.
We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophet's vision, the hosts of heaven sing your praise above. For so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech ol haaretz, Kavodo,
Kavodo male olam.
Baruch Kavod Adonai, Mimakomo.
From your concealment, majestic one, reveal yourself and rule over us, for you are our hope.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, לדור ודור, הללויה.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושפרך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג. המקדשי שביעי, המקדשי שביעי, כולם יספרו ויתענגו מצווך. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו. חמדת ימין אותו קראת, זכר למעשה, למעשה בראשית.
Let us continue together. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts. And may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני, שעותך לבדך, ביראה נעבוד. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך, שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות.
שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, שים שלום.
Together, grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace.
We'll take some time for silence.
Dream on. Say shalom,
na'aseh.
Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol bnei Adam. Da 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 da. We now turn to our Torah service. We're following Torah Service 2. If you have the Siddur in front of you, it's on page 490. Page 490.
Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your city, to hear and learn to revere the Eternal One your God, and observe faithfully all the precepts of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn the Eternal One, your God.
Please rise.
והננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו.
Gadlu Adonai iti, uneromamo Shemo Yachdav.
לאדוני הגדולה, והגבורה, והתפארת, והנצח והחוד, כי הול בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, והמתנשא לכל ראש, והמתנשא לכל הראש.
Please be seated, and I just want to point out how fortunate we are within our community to have wonderful musicians and indeed wonderful writers as well. And that tune was written by our member Vivian Kylie's, and we hope that you'll in future join with us in learning new music, perhaps even writing new music into the coming year. Listen out for a few plans.
And so we turn to our Torah blessing. I'm seeing I'm not at my desk. I'm going to need the techies to move the slide one along. So we say the blessing of our Torah reading together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So you can see we're reading this beautiful passage, passage Ha'azinu, which is the Song of Moses. And those of you who were here last week will have heard Lily Fiber read beautifully from this portion for her bat mitzvah. So what I thought I would do is I would kind of read a bit of a selection of passages that Lily hadn't read. So we will start at the beginning of the passage. So if you're following in the Tanakh, that's Deuteronomy 32, starting on verse 1. And then after verse 4, we're going to skip to verse 7 and read a few verses. And then we're going to do a bit more skipping. So, but I will read the translation. It's a beautiful poem. So we never dared to translate it ourselves, Rabbi Aaron and I. It's much nicer if you have a poetic translation that is read.
It's also perfect that we've got lots of kids skipping around outside.
I
if
know,
we're doing
because
some
they're
skipping of
really
verses.
doing the skipping. So we read right from the beginning of the portion. Ha'azino hashamayim ve'adabera, v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi. Give ear, O heavens, let me speak. Let the earth hear the words I utter. Ya'arof k'mata likchi, tizal katal imrati. May my discourse come down as the rain, my speech distill as the dew. Kishirim alei deshe, v'chirvivim alei esev. Like showers on young growth, like droplets on the grass. Kishem Adonai ekra, havu godel Eloheinu. For the name of the Eternal I proclaim, give glory to our God. Hatzur tamim pa'olo, ki chol drachav mishpat. El emunah ve'ein avel, tzadik ve'yashar hu. The rock whose deeds are perfect, yeah, all God's ways are just. A faithful God never falls, true and upright indeed. We're going to skip to verse 7. Zechor yemot olam, bino shnot dor vador, she'al avicha v'yegadecha, zeknecha ve'imro lecha. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of ages past. Ask your parents who will inform you, your elders who will tell you. Behanachal elyon goyim, behafridu bnei adam, yatsev gvulot amim, lemispar bnei Yisrael. When the Most High gave nations their home, God and set the divisions of humanity, God fixed the boundaries of peoples in relation to Israel's numbers. Ki chelek Adonai amo, Yaakov chevel nachalato. For the Eternal's portion is this people, Jacob, God's own allotment. And now we're going to skip right to the end of our song. So you're going to have to skip with me from here to 32:44, and I'm going to move it along so that you can hopefully see this in the scroll. So we're just going to move to the bottom of our song.
Big shout out to our scribe as well.
I know,
Bernard
how
Benarosh,
beautiful,
who won't be
isn't it?
watching this because he's Orthodox, but hopefully he may see a repeat of it because we can just see how stunningly beautiful his scribing is.
Absolutely. ויבוא משה וידבר את כל דברי השירה הזאת באוזני העם, הוא והושע בן נון. And Moses came together with Hosea, son of Nun, and recited all the words of this poem in the hearing of the people. ויכל משה לדבר את כל הדברים האלה אל כל ישראל, ויאמר עליהם. And when Moses finished reciting all these words to all Israel, he said to them, שימו לבבכם לכל הדברים אשר אנוכי מעיד בכם היום, אשר תצוום את בניכם, לשמור לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת. Take to the heart all the words with which I have warned you this day, and join them upon your children, that they may observe faithfully all the terms of this teaching. כי לא דבר ריק הוא מכם, כי הוא חייכם. For this is not a trifling thing for you, it is your very life. I didn't make it easy for me in terms of fitting it all on the same camera
You're
shot.
doing a great job there.
ובדבר הזה תאריכו ימים, על האדמה אשר אתם עוברים את הירדן שמה לרשתה. And through it you shall long endure on the land that you are to possess upon crossing the Jordan. And this is where we're going to end for today.
And so we say the bracha together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher natan lanu Torah emet,
וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה Adonai, נותן התורה. And I'm going to try to show you the song.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך הקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לך הקודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
Please be seated. And having Rabbi Leah skipped, I'm now going to skip.
But you're smarter. You brought your liturgy with you
I brought my
because it's
liturgy
quite
with me.
difficult to read the blessing from.
No one's
there.
going to argue that I'm smarter than you, Rabbi Leah.
Absolutely.
You're not meant to agree with that. Well, I didn't bring all of my liturgy with me, though, because I left a little bit of it over here. There we go. Because we've got... There we go. Have I done it or not? Oh, no. Have I messed up?
What
I might have
are you
messed up.
missing?
Rabbi Aaron. Oh, dear. I
can
thought I
help,
was so
maybe?
organised. No, it just fallen over. I looked at the traditional Haftarah and it was very, very long, very, very bloodthirsty and vengeful, and really didn't seem fitting for a Shabbat such as this, where, well, we've certainly got joy in our hearts at this moment in time, and maybe we're just gung-ho, our thing just had the, well, that's the wrong verb, isn't it? We're just happy-go-lucky after all of the High Holy Days. So I'm going to be reading instead from Psalms, the beginning of Psalm 78, which hopefully will become clear in a few moments' time. And so an alternative blessing, which is not in front of you, sorry about that, we'll have to be more organised next time. I'm not too sure if we'll manage it, but we'll see, which is suggested by Rabbi Dr. John Rayner, Zichrono Livracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu likro v'chitvei hakodesh. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You sanctify us by your commandments and enjoin us to read from the holy writings. Give ear, my people, to my teaching. Turn your ear to what I say. I will expound a theme. Hold forth on the lessons of the past, things we have heard and known, that our ancestors have told us. We will not withhold them from our children, telling the coming generations the praises of the eternal and of God's might and the wonders that God performed. The Eternal established a decree in Jacob, ordained teaching in Israel, charging our ancestors to make them known to their children, that a future generation might know, children yet to be born, and in turn to tell their children, that they might put their confidence in God, and not forget God's great deeds, but observe God's commandments and not be like their ancestors, those that were wayward or defiant, a generation whose heart was inconstant, whose spirit was not true to God, but be like the generations who followed God's command and God's teaching. As we begin a new Cheder term, indeed a new Cheder year, and are surrounded, hopefully you can't hear them, but we can, all the noises of young people celebrating their Judaism together, beginning to learn together, just enjoying being back in each other's company. I was so drawn by one child. I said, "Oh, do you know such and such?" And they said, "I remember before COVID." Well, this really has taken a toll on our young people, and it's so wonderful for Rabbi Leah and myself to see so many young people coming back to our synagogue to learn together. There is a charge within the Torah reading that Rabbi Leah read. Remember the years of your ancestors. Well, we have a charge of how to remind our young people, and in the Haftarah, an urging to do so. We have the challenge in each generation. How are we going to remind our young people? How are we going to teach them? What are we going to teach them? Is it going to be, as we heard at the end of the Torah reading, a warning? Or is it going to be something of joy and blessing that we instill for all of our young ones? I sincerely hope it is the latter, that our young people feel inspired and enthused to carry on the teachings of our Torah, be that from the 5 books or the teachings of our ancestors, and take it into the future and tell it to their children, to children yet to be born, and for them in turn to tell their children, that they may have confidence in the Eternal One. And so we turn to the blessing after the Haftarah reading, and all that we do that is different in this, for a reading from the writings rather than the prophets, is where it says Va'al Hanvi'im, we read Va'al Kitvei HaKodesh. So let's try it together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, hamdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al kitvei ha'kodesh, ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Please rise.
So we stand together for our loyal blessings. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of our national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it might be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all our sisters and brothers of the house of Israel, who enter synagogues to pray and to give aid to those in need. May the Holy One, to whom all praise is due, hear their prayers and help them to fulfill their aspiration for good.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with their neighbors and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado.
Seyu sharim rashem, ve'hiseo pitei olam, ve'yavo melech hakavod, melech hakavod, mihu zeh melech hakavod, mihu zeh melech hakavod, Adonai tzvaot hu melech hakavod,
"This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel in time to come, says the Eternal One."
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, We're experimenting this morning, and so far we're doing all right. Wonderful to have Isaac joining us, you pickle.
From the KT classroom,
from the
I think.
Torah class, I think. Well done, mate. But also so many people, so many wonderful friends to join us this morning. And we have a real gift for you, and a gift for us as well, helping us out at this time of year. We're delighted to turn to Rabbi Oshrat Morag, who is one of the rabbis of the Liabeck Education Center in Haifa. We're delighted that she is going to be preaching now. We'll say a few more words about the center when she's complete.
It is such a pleasure to be here with you this special Shabbat, and it is my honor to share with you my thoughts on the Torah portion, Parashat Ha'azinu. Parashat Ha'azinu is poetry. It has visual structure of poetry in the Sefer Torah, and it also sounds like poetry, with special words, phrases, rhythm. Poetry breaks the patterns. Poetry is different than the usual. The rhythm helps us remember better. It is a change that was meant to be noticed. It is not that often that we read poetry in the Torah, so when we do, this poetry invites us to ask ourselves, Ma nishtana? Why is this different? Why Moses, who is kvad lashon, who has a heavy tongue and had Aharon next to him from the beginning of his leadership as a voice, why did Moses choose to say his almost final words in the form of poetry? Moses knows his people. They were on a journey together for 40 years, in which he gave many speeches and many warnings. This might be his last chance to get their attention and hope they will remember his words. What is so important for Moses that calls for our attention? The poetry here is not short and includes many metaphors. The usage of rare words is deliberate, and it raises our interest. And right then, when our attention is in its full capacity, Moses concludes his poetry and says, שימו לבבכם לכל הדברים אשר אנוכי מעיד בכם היום, אשר תצווים את בניכם לשמור לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת. Set your hearts to all of the words which I bear witness for you this day, so that you may command your children to observe to do all the words of the Torah. Moses repeats the word all of the words, twice. We, the people of Israel, received the Torah with many words and laws. Moses reminds us to set our hearts and have responsibility to teach the next generation to set their hearts to all the words in the Torah. Why is that repetition so important? All the words? Maybe because we know how easy it is sometimes to consider only some of the mitzvot important. How sometimes we neglect the ones that take harder work. Most often, the ones that demand our being responsible for other human beings. The next verse enhances the idea that following all the words of the Torah takes hard work. כי לא דבר ריק הוא מכם, כי הוא חייכם, ובדבר הזה תאריכו ימים על האדמה, אשר אתם עוברים את הירדן שמה לרשתה. For it is not an empty thing for you, for it is your life, and through this thing you will lengthen your days upon the land to which you are crossing over the Jordan to possess it. It is not an empty thing for you, for it is your life. The Talmud Yerushalmi, Tractate Ketubot, explains, when is it an empty thing? When you do not work hard or do your best for it. But when you do put effort, it becomes your life. Another interpretation in the Yerushalmi tractate Pe'ah, breaks the verse to 4 parts and suggests, כי לא דבר ריק הוא מכם, זה תלמוד תורה. כי הוא חיים, זה כיבוד אב ואם. ובדבר הזה תאריכו ימים, זו גמילות חסדים. על האדמה, זה הבאת שלום בין אדם לחברו. Not an empty thing for you means studying the Torah. For it is your life, means honoring your father and mother. And through this thing, you will lengthen your days, means gmilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. Upon the land means bringing peace between people. The conclusion of this interpretation is that following all the words of the Torah will lead us to doing good. This conclusion reverberates through all of our being and doing at Liobek Haifa, and in our partnership with you. We feel the responsibility to pass all the words of the Torah to the next generation by teaching the values and by hard work. To create programs that honor the elders of our community, to volunteer in social justice projects, and to advance shared society with non-Jewish communities in Haifa. It is no wonder we read this portion in this time of year, when we do soul searching. What have we done so far? What might still be empty? As we gather together and listen to the words of the Torah, we also hear the inspiring words of the Haftarah for Ha'azinu, which is also poetry, David's poetry. Maybe the 2 portions, the Torah reading and the Haftarah reading, that are poetry, resonate each other like our 2 congregations resonate, with our hard work and our doing good. David's poetry is full of gratitude and thanksgiving, and we well appreciate and are thankful for this friendship and the ability to strengthen each other, especially in times of great uncertainty. Moses concludes his poetry in a simple, however profound message for us. We should remember that in order to have a full and not empty Jewish experience, we should strive to be good people, to create a just and peaceful society, and that it takes hard work. It is not easy, but when we do achieve it, it becomes our life. We wish you happy holidays, and may you always have moments of poetry in your lives. Shana Tova, Chatima Torah.
Thank you so much to Rabbi Oshrat, and I sincerely hope that in the next Gregorian year we will be able to go together to visit Israel and to visit the Leibek Education Center that really does uphold the values that many of us as progressive Jews would like to see developed within the state of Israel. And I'm always humbled as well by the role that Rabbi Leah plays within the progressive Zionist world. And you might want to look back at your Devar, at the articles that she has written there of her most recent trip, because she is a VIP, and she got to go.
I got treated like a VIP.
She got to go to Israel this summer where most of us didn't. So please do read the incredible work that she does.
And I had the opportunity also to visit the Leibek Education Center on that trip, and I think I write a little bit about that in the VAR. And they have a beautiful community garden as well, which I was sending Rabbi Aaron lots of photos from, because I thought this is his kind of place.
How does your garden grow? Let's now move, though, to our concluding prayers that you can find on page 519 if you're using a Siddur, and if you would please rise.
Baruch Adonai le'olam, Amen va'amen. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael, oseh niflaot levado. Baruch Shem kvodo le'olam, v'maleh kvodo et kol haaretz. Amen va'amen.
The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us as we rest our hope in you. All the nations that you have made shall come and bow down before you and honor your name.
Let God be praised by day.
Let God be praised by night.
Let God be praised when we lie down.
Let God be praised when we rise up.
Avinu Shebashamayim, our God in heaven, let your unity be acknowledged and your sovereignty established forever. reign over us now and always.
Adonai, Melech Adonai, Malach Adonai, Yimloch le'olam va'ed.
It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. Yet in the emptiness their passing leaves behind, we are not alone. We have the companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts. For what they were is part of what we have become. On this Shabbat, we recall the art sites remembered by members of our community, of Anita Dankner, the mother of Ellie, of Bessie Wolfe, the mother of Joy Weinrabe, of Betty Pfeffer, the mother of Peter Phillips, Delia Marmor, the mother of Paul, Isabella Walton, the mother of David, mother-in-law of Mimi Konigsberg, grandmother of Jenny and Sarah, Mark Wolfson, the father of Jeannie Perry, Muriel Millett, the mother of Eve Porat, and Eve's partner, Danny Green, Norman Charles Gilbert, the father of Andrea Gerstein, Oscar Davis, the father of Adele Rinches, Phyllis Rabin, the mother of Sandra Lawson, and Rachel Daniel, the mother of Joe. We honor them best when we live as they would wish, responsively and happily, even in the shadow of our loss, and so draw closer to the source of life in whom every life finds meaning, purpose, and hope. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mavarach le'olam u'lalmei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'al v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, Amen. Heish lama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei Adam, v'imru, Amen. Please be seated. In a few moments, we conclude with Ein Keloheinu, which I'll tell you what page it is in 2 seconds.
528.
Thank you very much indeed. 528 if you're using your Siddurim. We look forward to our Sukkot services. Erev Sukkot on Monday evening at 6:30 will be slightly more creative and wonderful for young people as well and families to be able to enjoy together. Tuesday morning, for Sukkot morning, we're welcoming the Mayor of Hillingdon, the new Mayor of Hillingdon. So please do sign up for it. The link is in your weekly bulletin. If you have difficulties, please email us in the office, either admin@arksynagogue.org or clergy at arksynagogue.org, and we will help you out to be able to book your spot in the service. We also then, next weekend, are going to be having a collection for our Sukkah table, for New Hope, and for the local food banks as well. So please do look again. The details are in what I think I wrote, and we'll remind you this week of exactly when we're doing that, because I can't remember right now, but isn't after the I can't remember.
I think we're doing the Sukkah table, the Sukkah collection after the service on Saturday. So if you're coming next Saturday to the service or to Cheder, you can bring things for that for us together. We are advertising our Kiddush Zoom room, or really the Zoom room to come together more for chatting, but we seem to be having a problem that our Zoom keeps crashing. So we may not be with you, or we may be with you from telephones or something, while our tech team is trying to fix that. But we're going to do the closing song first anyway, and otherwise we'll just start by doing Kiddush all together on the live stream. Just stay on the live stream, and we'll try our best to get into our Kiddush Zoom room. Not quite sure what's going on.
Maybe one of the techies will also go on their phones and just let people in so that we can...
Yeah, we'll figure something out. But for now, we're going to sing together.
Enk Eloheinu, Enk Adonenu, Enk Malkeinu, Enk Moshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Micha Eloheinu, Micha Adonenu, Micha Malkeinu, Micha Moshienu, quien como nuestro Dios, quien como nuestro Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. La hermosa nuestro Dios, la hermosa nuestro Señor, la hermosa nuestro Rey, la hermosa nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador.
Please rise. In a well-known midrash, the rabbis play on the words of Bonayech, your buildings, and Banayech, your children. In a few moments' time, we have the privilege of going and seeing what our children have built outside of our sukkah. And we hope that perhaps if you live locally, you will come and visit the sukkah and maybe have a cup of tea on it during the week together. We also hope that you will enjoy viewing it, as we'll post photos of our sukkah. And we also hope that you'll do that of your own sukkot as well. Wherever you are, may you feel covered by a sukkat shalom, a sheltering of peace that comes from being together in this sacred community, the Ark Synagogue. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. And our Kiddush Zoom room is working, so do join us there. You can already join us, and hopefully we will be able to share you on the screen so everyone in the sanctuary can see you as well. Or maybe not yet. We're going to just quickly do that. No, we'll be able to manage that very easily. We just need 1 second.
Thank you for all your wonderful messages this morning as well. It's always wonderful. I know we don't respond to each one, but it is wonderful to have them. It keeps us going, and it's wonderful to hear the feedback as well. So thank you so much.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rito
את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת וינפש, שבת שבת וינפש, שבת שבת וינפש, שבת שבת וינפש. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen.
Amen and Shabbat Shalom.